Well, hello, my little Mr. Hominoid viewers. How are you? Well, I'm down here in Sydney, Australia. We're having our elections. Now, if you don't know who's who, and what's the white square? Blip. This guy here is called Barnaby
Live
Joyce.
today, Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce. Barnaby Joyce, thanks for your time. What's your read of things? Obviously, very early in the piece, but how are you feeling?
Right, now this guy here, he's the leader of the National Party, which means we have the Liberal government and the Labor governments within the cities, and the Nationals are out in the country areas, and also independents are in the country areas. Now, he was married and he had 8 kids, I think it was, to one wife. I might be wrong. Left his wife, lost the leadership of the Nationals because he had sex with a staffer, and then now he's going out with a staffer, and now she's pregnant again with his second kid. So he's the only leader of a National Party that's ever had 10 children under his name. And there's a lot of controversy over him. So he lives up in a town called Armidale in the northern New England area of New South Wales. And there's a lot of stuff he tried to get done, and he got busted, and he's another crim, like all politicians. Okay, let's see. Right, now who's next? Then we have our current Prime Minister up to about midnight.
Make sure my granddaughter gets Kitty. I'll compete with a valid.
Oh, piss off. Anyway, that's Scott Morrison. Everybody knows Scott Morrison as ScoMo. He's the Prime Minister that decided to go for a holiday 2 years ago during the bushfires and went over to Hawaii. He then turned around and said, oh, it was no great big deal. He said it wasn't a holiday, it was a working holiday. And he's sitting there wearing a pair of shorts down by the beach having cocktail drinks with his wife and kids. Try to lie out of his that one. That's him here. Let's have a look.
Good evening. The count is now underway to decide who will become the next Prime Minister after a long day.
Right. That's Scott Morrison. He's the Liberal leader. The guy over here is the Labor leader, Albo, Anthony Albanese. Now let's have a look at both of them. Now, Scott Morrison come from a wealthy family, like most Liberals are, went to private school. Albo went to Marrickville, went to a housing commission, lived with his arthritic mother, only child, fought up through the rank and files. He's done things for the railways federally. He's done things for schools federally, everything federally. He's been under way back as far as the Hawke government. He's been through Keating government. He's been through Julia Gillard government. He's been through Kevin Rudd government. Every time as a very important minister. So he's actually covered a lot of different categories in Parliament. Now, this guy here, he's just popped in out of the wind, and nobody knew much about him. I didn't even know anything about him until he came up and said, oh, Scott Morrison's going to be the leader. And I thought, who the hell's he? Never heard about him. But Albo Albanese, he was the one who reformed the railways federally throughout Australia, and also was in charge of the Melbourne to Queensland Great Inland Railway Link. So he does know about transport, highways, railways and airports, because he was in charge of them. So he's a man who knows about what's going on. And I like this one here. He says, not my job, not my job. And this one over here, Albo, he always says, well, I'm not going to make any promises, but we will get there when I get there, and I'll get to look at all the paperwork that's been left over by this guy. So how can he really make a comment on what he's going to do until he finds out what mess this guy here's made? It's like you saying you moving into your next door neighbours before they moved out, and you got no idea. So that's about it. Now, the other thing about Australian politics is we have a very Australian custom that we have sausage sizzles. Yes, hang on, I'll show you.
For the vote.
How many times you get to go to a vote?
Sausages ringing out across the southeast, and following savoury comes the sweet.
We're right outside where the queue is. You have to go past all the food to come to us.
The tradition of voting on election day alive and well.
I just love doing it.
And a big boost for thousands of deserving community groups.
It's our way of being able to raise money.
It's still the best place to meet MPs and future PMs. Cleo Cameron announcing her campaign promise.
More TV and more boring.
So there we go. She wants to be Prime Minister. Anyway, so what they have a sausage sizzle, which is a hot dog roll, hot sausage, onion and sauce. And you buy them and it goes to local charities. And that's done at the polling booths. And the other one is with all the flood damages throughout the east coast of Australia, they're also having sales of all sorts of things. So if you want to buy something while you're there, well, why not? Everybody's got to go there. It's better than sitting in the local shopping centre. It's compulsory. Everybody's got to go. So, of course, nobody's going to say no to buying something to donation to help all the people throughout the floods down the east coast of Australia. So that's what that was all about. So what have we got going on then now? Well, I'm not going to go into politics. I'm not going to go in, as I say, in democracy cues. It's too close to call. It's... Oh, yeah, there's a thing there on solar power too, by the way. But it's... Look, here's a little bit of it.
Get the latest numbers with Tom Connell, our chief election analyst in Nichols. How's it looking?
Let's take a look. There are a few more numbers, and Gilmore's looking quite interesting, so I'll go to that in a moment. But beginning with Nichols then, and this is obviously a hope at the moment for independence as to how this goes. So let's pull it up here. Seat of Nichols, there it is, found it eventually. So you can see nearly 1% of the votes come in so far. How big is the vote of Rob Priestley? So this is crucial.
That's Nationals.
Remember, though, we've got the Liberal Party running as well.
Independent, the Liberal, the Labor down the bottom.
To the National Party.
Now, that's just in one area, in one state, in the whole country. Now, this media has it all set up so they can just push a button and it shows you what's going on exactly to what ballot's being counted. Now, as they're being counted, it goes through a computer, and then straight away, they've got it up there on their computer screen. It's instantaneous from the electoral office where you voted. It's counted in there, and the dockets are put through a machine, and it's scanned like a barcode. And that's how they do it. And it goes straight away, it's in. So by Monday morning or Sunday night, we should know who our Prime Minister is. You want to see a little bit more? Let's have a look.
You would see them on those numbers. That's enough of a help if you like. The issue right here is all these numbers are on matched swings. So we're comparing booth to booth. And on that so far, you are seeing a significant downfall from the Nats. The good thing from them is the Liberal Party sweeping it up. The interesting vote that's gone down here is One Nation. So Rob Priestley sweeping that up. So it's a bit early to say anything. It's fit.
Right, so we've got Labor, One Nation, Liberal Party, Independents, and the Nationals. Remember, the Nationals are the national party throughout the whole of Australia. The Independents are all the independents. And they're registered as a group of independents for independent areas of each part of the country. And then you have Liberal government, the Libs. Then you have One Nation, which was originally formed by a famous fish and chip lady. Anyway, but she's since moved on, and now it's being run by the former Labor minister, who was also the New South Wales Premier. He's now running that. And then there's the Labor government down the bottom, which is obviously Albo Albanese. In this case, it's Bill Lodwick in the area of Nichols. But anyway, I'm not commenting on to that. I'm not showing favouritism to the YouTube gods. Let's speed it up a little bit. Let's see what else they pop up here with. Right,
Labor losing some vote to One Nation. Would they lose out on preferences as a result? So that's
now there's Labor there.
I want to head to Tasmania as well, because we're getting some decent numbers in from Tasmania. First of all, in Bass, we're getting some votes in, 1.34%. Now, so far, Bridget Archer ahead. She has got some booths in, which are
See,
normally
now if
very
you look
friendly
down the
to it. So
bottom,
you can see the actual percent.
there's
even
no
though it's getting
National
high
Party.
there, 0.52 down compared
So it's different all over the state. Now let's
to
have a look at
100%.
another
And
one.
you can see as well the entry of
Try another one. Let's see what else.
discussion on the panel. I'm sure it will continue. 1.31% of the vote. You can see Dan Ripicoli's vote on those numbers is holding up okay. Again,
So
this is
now
matched,
Labor's
so
up the
he's
top,
about 33.9%
and
of the
Liberals
vote.
not even on
Interesting
the
to see
board.
how much we're seeing.
And then it's
Comparison
Labor,
again, One Nation
Nationals,
vote
One
go down.
Nation,
That's the thing that stands
the
out to me,
Greens, the
because
Tree
last time,
Huggers,
One Nation,
and then the
21%
Independents.
flowed really strongly towards
Now, usually you only get an independent that wins in an area where there is no Labor, no Liberal, and no National Party, which means it's a very small area. Now, most of those independents usually end up in the chamber areas of Parliament, such as the lower house, the upper house, and all those other little things where they get to sit there and make up their little votes. And that's where they come into play. So hopefully if that's enough there to confuse you, it confuses the living crap out of me as well. And thank God now they've got technology. Now, can you imagine doing this 50 years ago? It used to take a week to find out who the Prime Minister was. Yes, a week. And all the ballot boxes had to go in by truck back into a central counting room. Now it's all done electronically. Thank God for that. Anyway, for an old man who's been around too long, from me, Mr. Hominoid, I hope you get a bit of fun out of that. Oh, the Hunter area, by the way, is the Hunter Valley, which is west of Newcastle, which is north of Sydney. Anyway, for me, Mr. Hominoid, like, share and subscribe to the channel. Hope you like that. I don't do politics. I am just showing how it all now works. Okay, have a good night. See you later, Mr. Hominoid. Like, share and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment. Does that sort of confuse you even more? I don't worry about it. I just wait till I read it in the paper who won.